This will be a tutorial on scheduling message boards, which is a feature that allows you to schedule ahead of time a message to be displayed, a particular specified message at a particular specified time, and you can do that a lot, any number of times per day, per week, and so on. To do this, very simply, you'll see when you go into the show view of a message board, where you're used to looking at telemetry and sending new messages, a new tab, schedule, click into that guy, and you see a calendar along with some other little things that we'll explain right away. First of all, when we schedule messages to occur on the board, we schedule it in terms of the time zone that that board is in. So the first thing we need to do is tell the system what time zone this board is in, and I'm going to choose Mountain Time for myself here, so that things happen right away for me. And you'll notice a calendar that has basically every day on the week on it and a 24-hour clock. To keep things simple at first, what I'll do is I'll schedule a new event to happen for me right now. So remember for a second that we're looking at a blank board here, and I'm going to create a new event. It's 11:20 something for me right now, so I'm going to schedule an event to occur right now, Monday. Let's say the message was scheduled to happen at 11, so it should have already started, but it will start as soon as it can. And let's say the message ends at 12:30. And I have to choose which message that I'm going to send at that time, so I'm going to look at a list of all my stored messages for this board, all my changeable messages, and after them all my permanent messages. I'm just going to pick one guy at random, that guy, and submit my event. I see the event popping up on the calendar. I see a little tooltip that shows me what the message is and when it's going to happen, and sometimes you have to kind of hover around a bit to get the tooltips out of the way so that you can go on with your life. So since this event was meant to start at 11, but I only saw it just now because I only created it just now, it will happen immediately. So an event will start anytime during that window if it hasn't already started. And if I go to my telemetry tab, I can see that, yeah, the board is no longer blank. It's displaying the message that I chose to display in schedule. The fact that it started now, even though it was scheduled to start at 11 and it's now 11:20 something, also tells us what will happen if we fail to communicate with the board at any time when a schedule is meant to happen. Let's say the message was meant to happen at 11 o'clock, and right then I had trouble between Fleet Manager and the board reaching it, the modem was off, the network traffic was bad, and so on. If the message failed to activate at the allotted time, it would continue to try once every minute as long as the window for that message is open. So I'll continue to try between 11 and 12:30 in this example if I fail to activate that message. If I have 3 failures, meaning that I've tried 3 times 1 minute, with 1-minute intervals, after 3 failures, I'll send you an email or an SMS, depending on what kind of alert you might have signed up for, telling you that there were 3 failures and that we're continuing to try as long as the window is open. If the message finally succeeds because the outage was temporary, I'll send you an all clear saying, okay, I've managed to activate this message after 10 or 20 or whatever number of tries I had. So that'll give you some idea that A, you don't have to worry about it anymore, B, how long the outage continued. If you don't remember how to sign up for alerts like that, all you have to do is go over to your users menu. I'm admin, so I'm going to find myself here and edit myself here. And I can see that I can enter a phone number here and check the box for receiving SMS alerts, enter a valid email here and check the box for receiving email alerts, and that's how I get those alerts. Going back to my schedule page, nothing much has changed here. Now let's get even more complicated. Actually, a little bit more complicated at first and then more complicated. First of all, it's interesting to note that you can edit an existing event. You might change your mind, you might have made a mistake. I can say that actually I wanted this message to go on until 1:30 p.m. and really it should have been C14, not C13. All I have to do is click on that event on the calendar over here, and it just pops up the same dialog all over again, and I can submit. I can also delete this message if I don't want it, but I won't do that now, and I can cancel out of here if I wanted to make no changes at all. For now, I'll just submit my changes. Now, because this message is active right now, submitting a change to it pushes the change to the board immediately. If I were to update, if I were to modify a message that isn't due right now, then the modified data would be used when the time comes. But I just modified an active message, so if I go to my telemetry, I'll see that that change took effect right away. And slightly more complicated now, what happens when the message ends? Well, the communication between Fleet Manager and the board have to be up for the message to activate, but it doesn't have to be up for the message to deactivate. Come 1:30 p.m. today, this board will automatically blank itself without any communication from Fleet Manager. What that means, first of all, is that if communication fails between Fleet Manager and the board, don't worry about it too much. The board will not show an invalid message for that time. Better to be blank than to show invalid information, so the board will just go blank by itself at the proper time. Another side effect of that is that since the board is doing that itself, while Fleet Manager tells the board to start a message, and that information will automatically be shown here in the telemetry page, when the board goes blank and it's doing it by itself, you won't see that information on the telemetry page. It will still look like the last message you activated. But if you know and if you think that the board should be blank at this time because an event ended, all you have to do to see that is go and do an update, and it will pull up the latest information from the board of whatever it might have done to itself, and it will show that the message is truly blank as it should be. So when the message ends, it does it by itself, and we have to ask the board if it did it. When the message begins, Fleet Manager does it, and Fleet Manager knows and automatically shows you the information. Next most complicated steps is what to do about the fact that we appear to have two calendars here. We have this guy, and we can click into this guy and see a similar calendar, except that we can see there's nothing scheduled on Monday on this calendar. Point being that I can have really two different calendars, and if I want, I can go over here and create a different message, let's say on Tuesday, for instance, at 10 in the morning, and let's say this message goes on until 2 in the afternoon, and it's going to be C14. Now it's real easy to see that I have two different calendars. Look at my Tuesday here and look at my Tuesday and Monday over here, and I have a warning here that says the schedules overlap. I'm not going to stop you from overlapping schedules. You might want to do it for some reason I can't possibly imagine. I will, however, warn you that this is happening. You probably don't want it to happen. What's going to happen here is that if I had in this calendar a scheduled event on Monday that really overlaps with this one, they're just going to clobber each other. Every minute of the day I'm going to see if there's an event that needs to happen, and if it happens to clobber a previously sent event, that was your choice. To avoid this, first of all, I'll give you that warning, and secondly, I'll let you say that schedules are limited in time. So if, for instance, this schedule that has a Monday event on it is scheduled to end at the end of the year, well, I still have an overlap because this schedule is open-ended, and an open end and on the from means forever from beginning of history, and that means it will happen tomorrow. I can just say then that this schedule is only meant to begin on January 1st, and there goes my overlap warning. These schedules can't overlap, so these events can't overlap, and there can be no clobbering of events. As you can see, schedules can have open-ended beginnings and open-ended ends, and you do whatever you have to do to make sure that you don't want them to clobber each other if you really don't want them to clobber each other. That's really all there is to scheduling events. Have fun with it.